Hey class, more than half of our week is over. I wanted to take just a moment and congratulate each of you for a job well done in the discussions. Now, if you haven't had time, please take time to jump into the getting started discussion and introduce yourself and also say hello to the other students that are joining us in the class this term. Also, if you've not had time to take a look at our first discussion, please take time to do that. Post your initial discussion. Please make sure that they are extended discussions and include APA using the citation tools that I provided to you, the examples in the announcements. Please make sure you use references, not works cited or sources at the bottom. And please make sure that you use citations in text inside the discussion itself using APA, and that's the author, comma, date. Make sure you do that, please, if you don't mind, because it is part of the requirement. We've got a good discussion going this week. This week we're focusing on ethics and law enforcement, getting a real good background of what ethics looks like. And as you know, if you've read the material already, ethics is also known as moral philosophy. It's a branch of philosophy concerned with the study of questions of right and wrong and how we ought to live. Ethics involves and it helps us to make moral judgments about what is wrong, good or bad. Right and wrong are qualities or moral judgments we assign to actions and our conduct. And then within the study of ethics, there are three branches that we really take a look at, and that's metaethics, which is concerned with methods and language and logical structure and the reasoning that we use in the interpretation of ethical terms. For example, what exactly does the term good mean? What does bad mean? And then there's normative ethics, which is concerned with the ways of behaving and the standards of conduct. And then last, we have applied ethics, which is more concerned with solving practical moral problems as they arise. Now, in our case here, as we examine the oath, the law enforcement oath, and we take a look at our scenario this week. A police officer is approached by a citizen who offers to make a donation for really doing his job because he stopped a speeder. And so we get to make the decision about whether or not we ought to take the money as a donation or if we should not. In this case, we have an opportunity to work with the citizen and educate the citizen about how law enforcement works, and that we really can't take the money, but we can suggest that she take the money to the station and offer a donation to a project. Christmas is coming up. This would be a great opportunity if this occurred during the Christmas season, to donate to Shop with a Cop or a similar program. But we don't have to make that decision. We can say it's okay to take the money. Now, in our discussion, we get to share our thoughts and our opinions using research that we find within the class or outside using the SNHU library, other peer-reviewed journal articles, preferably. Please skip the wikis. Don't use wikis. Don't use dictionary.com. Don't use any of those. Encyclopedias. Just use research that you can find inside the classroom or SNHU library. And so we can decide, do we take the money or do we not take the money? So what happens if we take the money? In this case, if we take the money, there could be an issue where she reports us or someone else reports us, even though we were going to take the money to be donated, and then this could cause all manner of problems. But it may be okay in your eyes to take that money and then turn it in. Some of this is really based upon the culture of the organization that you work in. It may be okay within your organization to take that money and turn it in, or it may not. And that's a decision where we take a look at the meaning of ethics, where we get to make the decisions between what those moral judgments between what is right and what's wrong. So where does that come from? What would we do if we didn't have this oath that we discussed this week? Do we have it built into us individually or culturally within the organization where we make good choices in we take a look at those ethics that we've grown accustomed to based upon the culture and the organization that we are part of, or how we were raised, for example, in making the decision about whether to take the money or not. Now, one of the things that I've tried to point out with this is even if you do take the money and you are being ethical and you turn it in, someone else may think that you are not doing that, you're being unethical, and then that starts investigations and problems as we move along. So I've suggested or asked the question, should you at least let your supervisor know about the donation or about being approached to accept money? And I think most of you have said yes, we at least should let our supervisor know. That way, if it comes back and there is an issue, we can at least report, hey, we did let our supervisor know. No, we didn't take the cash. Or yes, we did take the cash and we turned it in. And here's a receipt for the money. So what do you say? If you haven't had time to jump in the discussion yet, I encourage you to do that. Jump in the discussion, share your opinion about whether or not you think that it's okay to take the money and turn that money in, use it for a donation as the citizen attended or not. It's a really good discussion. Again, if you haven't jumped in, I encourage you to do that. Now let's take a look at the blog. This week we also have a blog. I encourage you to take a look at that blog. Pardon me. And contribute to that blog. Make sure that you write a really good in-depth blog based upon the questions being posed, and share some of your thoughts and try to provide some research there. If you can find that research, which should be available through the S&H library or through other sources, either your textbooks, etc. So try to find that research if you can to support exactly what you're saying. There's a lot of information out there on ethics, especially ethics in law enforcement, and I'd encourage you to take time to try to find some of that. Again, really good discussion. If you hadn't had time to take a look at the rubric, please make sure you take a look at that rubric this week. Make sure you're developing your discussions based upon that rubric, because that's exactly how I'm going to grade. Tonight's Thursday, so depending on when you take a look at this video, I will start grading your assignments on Friday, which is tomorrow, and try to get those discussion assignments in early so that you'll have time to look over them. Usually the thing that we get back most is the use of APA, so make sure you're including that APA and that research in your entries for your discussions and your blogs. And I keep mentioning that, but it is important, and the reason we do that is not just for the sake of getting through the class, but as you grow in your career, you'll be required to develop reports and plans and procedures, and those things will need to be included, and that attention to detail will really make the difference when it comes time to be promoted in developing those plans and procedures, or whatever it is you happen to be working on. I guarantee you'll have an opportunity to put together a PowerPoint or participate in a tabletop exercise or something else where you'll be required to present and represent your agency. That will happen at some period of time. So that's one of the reasons that I mentioned the APA and the attention to detail, so that you can develop those good reports. In criminal justice, the thing that we have to do, whether we're going to work in law enforcement, corrections, probation, and parole, if you're working in emergency management or homeland security, whatever your goal is, you're going to be required to have that attention to detail and develop those reports. So please make sure that you try to do that the best you can. Now, one of the things I also like to do is that you develop your discussion outside of the discussion. Do it in Microsoft Word or a similar program, and check all your grammar, including your spelling, before you present that. That way, when I take a look at it, I always look for spelling and grammar, and you'll have that out of the way. We won't have to worry about it. So try to check that spelling and grammar long before you post it in the discussions. And I don't always just take a look at the grammar and the mechanics, including APA. I really want to see what you have to say and what your opinion is, and if you can support what your statement is there with the discussion prompt. So I take a look at that. Our goal is to learn the material, not just about APA and not just about how to write, but certainly those things are important. Now, have you taken a look at the final? As we approach the last part of the week here, again, it's Thursday, depending on when you take a look at this video. Make sure that you have taken time to look at that final project. I encourage you to get started on that soon. Everything that we do in the class is related to the final project. We start in week 1, and then we'll present it towards the end of our class, and then everything that you've done, you'll be able to write and go back and use all that information. It's sort of comprehensive, so you'll be able to take that information and use it as we develop our final project. And I'll give you the templates for that. I'll give you some tips on that, on how to develop the template. And if you follow that, you should be you should do well. You should do well on your final project. So I want to commend you once again for a job well done in the discussion. Everyone's doing great. Keep up the good work. Take a look at those finals. Look at those rubrics and instructions. Check your grammar. Include that APA. Take a look at the other things in the class. If you ever have any questions, reach out to me and let me know, and I will do everything I can to help you. Y'all guys have a great week. I'll get some of those grades into you soon, and thank you so much for a job well done. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. I developed these to help you to do better in the class, and please let me know if they are helpful or not. Have a great rest of the week.